ICF has made major strides over the years to include and reach out to NGOs, to develop and nurture and identify young global leaders. I do not believe that it is a deliberately aging elitist body. It constantly tries to refresh itself. Maybe it is not doing as much as the NEAT would like, but I would argue against the thesis that it is a moribund organization that has not changed with the time.
Let me just, if I could play devil's advocate just a little bit. I agree that the WEF has tried very hard, and I think it's doing a lot of good things. So there's no question about that. I think though a lot of what you're describing tends to happen on the periphery rather than at the core. And I think a lot of that peripheral stuff needs to be brought into the core to get some of the kind of changes that we're all talking about. So I agree they're trying very hard, and I think they've been successful in many areas. No question about that. But I think a lot of that peripheral stuff really needs to be brought all the way into the middle, into the center of what's going on at WEF.
And somewhere the central agenda, the fact that not everyone who comes here goes and attends all these sessions and listens to all these speakers. They're conducting their own bilateral meetings and meeting a potential partner or figuring out the new opportunity, which is great for business, but not necessarily the theme of Davos. Would you say that?
Yeah. So if I could, so that's the premise which I'm saying. Davos is the most productive thing which happens in my year. The quality of meetings and the return on investment of the meetings is higher than anything else, and I love Davos. The question is, what is the promise of Davos? Is the promise of Davos to make the world a better place to live, right? That's a promise. So is that promise, Vineet Nayyar will give you a huge amount of productivity for your time? No, that's not the promise of Davos. So you've got Vineet and you've got all these wonderful people coming here. Now, can we try and fulfill that promise of Davos to make the world a better place? There is where my expectation gap is.
Okay, one funny question to all of you before I wrap this up. Somebody said that the crisp air in Davos really cleans their mind and sets this new place when they go back home for fresh ideas and exploration. What is the one single thing that you'll be taking away from Davos 2030?
Well, I think it's the sense of that we've averted crises, that there's a little bit more hope and a little more optimism sort of going forward. And certainly the clean air and the wonderful scenery here helps to add that sense of optimism and a more uplifting kind of feeling.
I would like to be able to take away a big bottle full of nothing but crisp Davos oxygen and be able to suck on it in Beijing.
Which has been voted as the most polluted city from every pollution index possible.
I think I'm taking away this whole social networks and big data is transforming governance, transforming the way the organization is going to run. And what I'm taking away is everybody knows it. Everybody is aware of it. Everybody is aware of the disruptions it can cause. And everybody's aware of the expectations being put in the citizens based on that media. And that was a big takeaway from me. And therefore, by the time we come in next year, I think something is going to happen. Some leaders are going to do something about it to make that a real opportunity rather than a threat.
For me, I think when you talk about the issue of trust, which is probably the biggest deficit that the world faces, and whether it's young people in the Middle East or whether it is in India or elsewhere. And what I'm taking away is that we do have a crop of leaders, both in business and in government, in civil society, and in other sectors, if you will, that are seriously engaging. They may not have the answers, they may not have the resources, they may not have the political, ability to mobilize all the things that need to be mobilized. But I'm taking away saying, gosh, I'm actually quietly impressed when I hear about Italy, when I hear about Ireland, and I live in Europe, and so I've seen how tough it's been. And so I'm actually hopeful in leadership, in humanity, in this idea that we can individually and collectively transform bit by bit by bit. And restlessness needs to be better. Come back in 40 years. And we'll look for clean air in Beijing as we have the annual meetings there.
And the crisp air in Davos is certainly a very restless panel, which is great to see because that brings in the hope for change. So I think we've pretty much concluded that Davos is very relevant, but like every great idea, it needs to change, adapt, and it's evolved. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being such an involved panel.